Welcome into your tiny love reading. I am T from Tiny Divination, here to break down some cards and charms with you. So, this message is for my singles. We are going to pick a charm or charm that resonates the most with you, and I will see you in your reading. Welcome in, group one. Let's get into your reading. So, you picked the little daisy charm. I'm going to start the reading by pulling a card to signify how you feel about being single and a card about how you feel about dating or like being in a relationship. So we're starting with how you're feeling about the single life. What are your feelings? We had something fall. Okay, so we have frustrated. Frustration has turned me from a normally peaceful, loving person into an irrational, angry one. Then we have hopeful. Let's see if there's anything else. Okay. Okay, so we have frustrated, hopeful, bring it on, and positive. I'm inspired, motivated, and proactive. I make the best out of every situation. So overall, it doesn't feel bad, right? It feels like being single, you feel good. You feel hopeful about your future. You're feeling good about yourself. It feels like when you think about being single, sometimes it gets a little bit frustrating. When you think about the dating pool, it may get a little bit frustrating for you. Some of that frustration hasn't turned you against dating though, because you still have these two positive yellow bright sunny cards. So even though you're a little frustrated with maybe the dating pool or what is out there or what you see, there's still a part of you that feels like you'll be able to find what you want, or you'll have, good luck, or you'll be able to find partnership, or something like that. So I feel pretty good about that. Let's pull some cards to see how you feel about dating specifically. Okay. So in terms of dating, huh? Okay. See if there's anything else. Okay, so we have empathy, confused, lonely, and regret. Empathy. I feel it too. We are so connected. Confused, just question marks. Then we have I feel so alone, lonely, and regret, if only. So we have a couple of different feelings all around this part of the reading, right? So starting with the empathy, some people are already dating. Some people are already putting themselves out there. Some people are already like in like or lust with people. It feels like you are kind of like feeling really connected to them. There's some kind of emotional connection, excuse me. There's like positive interactions. You feel like this person gets you. You feel like you get them. It feels really nice. So let me see what some of the questions are here. Forward this gift in a positive way. Let's go with the affirmation. We are all connected in the universal oneness. I open my heart and soul to those around me with gratitude for divine love and protection. I really like that. So with this card, I'm feeling like I said, you're in, like you're dating, you're feeling them, you're feeling you. It feels light, it feels fluffy, it doesn't feel too intense. But it feels like if it is intense, it's like, oh, I really like them, but it's like fun. It's like light still. That's the best way to describe it. It's fluffy. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel necessarily heavy. Okay. Then we have confused. So for some people that are out here dating people already, you are you like them, but it feels like part of you is confused about like if you should like them as much as you do, or if this is going to actually be something. Like there's like some doubt there in terms of like just the unknown. You may not have been in a situation like this in a while, or you've had like other shit happen to you, so it has you doubting whether you're like right in liking this person, or you're right in what you see, or you know what I mean, you're kind of just unsure of yourself. For other people, there's confusion in the sense of, am I really ready to start dating? Should I start dating right now? Is this a good time? Is there someone out there for me? Is this a situation I should put myself in? There's confusion about it because you're doubting it, but then at the same time, it feels like there's the lonely card. You know, you feel alone. You do want companionship. You do want to be with somebody. You do want to find someone. You do want to go out and have fun. Like all of these different things. In some cases, it's all of them. In some cases, it's the individual things, right? But like, there's this back and forth of like, I think that I want this because I feel like I want to be with somebody. I don't want to be alone. I don't want to, do things by myself. I don't want to um not be in love, you know what I mean? But then there's this confusion of like, oh, but do I want to step into this? Am I ready for this? Is this something I think I can handle? Is this something I think that will be, you know, lucrative, or positive? Lucrative is not like the right word. We're not talking about money, but like, you know what I mean? Is it something that's going to be beneficial, or am I just going to be putting myself in a shitty situation again? Like that's part of what comes up with these. Then we have the lonely on its own, right? And so there are some people that, in general, like you're ready to date, like I said, because you are feeling lonely. You're not in a place of wanting to be by yourself anymore. You're in a place of wanting to find companionship. You want to find partnership. You want to do things with other people. You want to find your person. You want to be able to rely on somebody else, or be able to build things with somebody else. So that's part of where I feel like the lonely card comes in. And then we have the regret. And so for some people in this pile, there when you think of dating, you think of not only the things that have been done, or that happened in situations, but things that you've done, things that you can't change, past situations. You think of past situations with certain people specifically, and wish that you could have stayed in that situation, or wish that you could have something like that, or like there's this longing for what happened in a way, or what was in a way, and some people are putting the onus of certain things on them, whether that's true. In some cases it is. In some cases it's just how you're seeing it now, because you're feeling this way, because you're feeling lonely, because you want to be with somebody and you don't have anybody, and so now you're feeling like, well, maybe I did the wrong thing, or maybe we should have worked harder, or maybe I shouldn't have done XYZ thing, so that's part of what I feel like comes up in terms of dating for you. So let's move into the love message that you need most right now. All right, so we're just going to pull a few cards to get into some messages. Okay. Okay. Okay, so we have to consider the source. You're receiving strong messages from someone. How is what they are saying uniquely connected to who they are and what they're all about? Do you respect and admire their choices and behaviors or not? Consider the source of these messages as you evaluate them, and decide how you want to relate to and learn from them in this moment. Nucleus. Do you want to build a life around this issue, feeling, value, or person? How can you decentralize that which you don't want to build around and center that which you do want at the heart of your life? Then you have the rebel. Where are you following the rules you don't care about or really believe in anymore? Okay. Then we have the oracle, get fucked, the star card, and the ace of wands. So I'm going to start in the middle um, with the nucleus and a little bit over here this way. For the people in this pile, it feels like um, you're ready. Like you're ready to start dating. You're ready to put yourself out there. You're ready to find somebody. You're ready to be in relationship with somebody. But there's a part of you that really needs to like sit with that actuality. There's a part of you that needs to sit with what that looks like more than just saying, okay, I want that. What does that actually look like? What would that person look like? What would that relationship look like? Right. At this point, there's some people who need to really consider, like I said, the actualization of that, because there's ways in which you're not recognizing that you are like you've boxed yourself, and it's almost like for some people you've made your life so constructed that there's not really space for somebody else. And you have to really sit with that and recognize, like, is that really how you would like things to be? Would you just want somebody to fit into your space already, or would you want to build something with somebody else? Like, that's a question. That's something to think about. For other people, like I said, it's a matter of really actualizing and sitting with the fact that you want that. Like, what, if you're sitting with the fact that you want that and you don't want to be by yourself, and you don't want to see life the way it has been, just with you, or in the months, years, whatever you've been single, you've like that, you recognize that, but now you're at a different point with it. Then again, it's sitting with, like, what does that look like to build up on to around, you know what I mean? Then for some people, part of how you're the decentralization, to me, with the rebel card, comes in with thinking about the constructs that come with the relationship. So for some people, going into this situation or going into this point in life now looks way different than it did before. What you want may look way different than it did before. It may be structured really different. It may look like different people, you know what I mean? It may look, just like I said, completely different. You may not want to get married. You may have a different structured relationship. You may be with a different gender than you were with the last time you were in a serious relationship, or something like that. You know what I mean? And so there's parts of that that may be keeping you from putting yourself out there, or keeping you from being in a space to really accept that this is what you want. But with the star and the ace of wands, it's very clear that, like, you're hopeful for something and you're ready to start it. Like, you're ready to put yourself out there. You're ready to look. You're ready to you know be in you're in the mindset of wanting to date. And it's and you're hopeful about what could come, even though there's this other side that is fearful of what could happen. Okay, so let's get into this. So the get fucked card, right? There is a strong fear that you have that you're going to get fucked over, that you're going to put yourself out there and you're not going to find anything, or you're going to find a whole bunch of shitty people, or you're going to be put in shitty situations, or whatever it is that you fear that's going to be negative in the situation. And, like, so that's why even with the other cards, when we had the feeling cards, you have this, like, push and pull of, like, being hopeful and really wanting something and wanting something to grow, but then feeling like you have this fear of what could happen or what has happened and have it happen again and things like that. But then we have this oracle card. So for people who, have a strong intuition, or, um, utilize their clairs, or have psychic gifts or senses or whatever it is, even paying attention to your gut feelings, like, enough. You don't need to be so scared. Like, you can see things, whether it's third eye or, like, real eye, you know what I mean? Like, so pay attention. Like it said, consider the source. When you're going out in these situations, you already know you can see red flags. It's a matter of paying attention to them and moving accordingly, right? It's a matter of, for some people, not staying in situations just to appease situations, or feel like, oh, well, blah, maybe I'm making too much of this, or like talking yourself out of what you see or what you feel. You know, if you see or feel something, whether that's good or bad, and it's actually like your intuition and not based in fear or anxiety, you know what I mean, or jadedness, then go with that shit. Okay, pay attention. But like, you don't need to be scared to go out. You just need to be mindful. You need to be, you know, um on guard. And I don't mean like scared on guard. I mean just like looking at your surroundings like you would anywhere, in any situation. You know what I mean? Go into it positive with, you know, your eyes open, you know, consider the source, right? When you're talking to somebody, when you're dating, when you're in proximity to them, pay attention to their energy, pay attention to how their energy makes you feel, pay attention to the things they say, pay attention to the things they don't say. Okay, pay attention to the people around them, pay attention to what they do, pay attention to everything. Okay, and ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask people questions. Follow up, ask them more things. You know what I mean? If something doesn't make sense to you, fucking ask about it, Google it, but you know what I mean? Whatever. But like, don't be afraid to dig in to shit either. But like, also pay attention to what you feel. You don't need like 45 pieces of evidence if when you walk in, your fucking the hair on your arm stands up. You know what I mean? Like, that's hello. You know, but like, because you know what you know, because you have a strong intuition, because you can sense things and you've been through enough shit, you don't have to be scared of what, you know, is to come, because you're smart enough to see it before it happens. Okay, so the hopeful energy and the want energy that you feel, it's a good, you're in a good space to act on it. Like, the universe is giving validation that like, yes, they feel like you should be out, you should go date, you should, you know, be in the space. So let's get a few more cards. Instead of cards, I'm actually going to pull some charms. So apologies for the noise. We're going to pull some charms to see like who you should be looking for, or like, you know, what kind of person or what kind of situation we're kind of looking for. Okay. Okay, so let's get into these charms. We have two bats, which is very interesting. Okay. We have a spider, we have an ox or a bull, we have a key with a cross on it, we have an infinity sign, we have a love card or a love note, we have a star with wings, and we have a mushroom. Okay, so some of the things I'm getting in terms of what we should be looking for, or people we should be dating, or things like that, right? We have both of these bats here, which I thought was really interesting. It gave like a dark brooding quality to the person. It could be that they are like mysterious. It could be that they're into like horror, or you know, like like things like that. And not in like a creepy way, but like a way that's just, it's just part of their personality. You know, some people are like really into horror movies, or some people are really into like, you know, blood and gore and Halloween type shit. You know what I mean? But like I said, it gave me some of that. It gave me some of like a brooding, mysterious energy. It gave some like he may be somebody who is more to themselves. It may be that they, like, for some people, it may be that the person's really pale. It's like given like vampire type energy, which is interesting. Um, Always when I think of like dark or brooding, you know, it could also be very Scorpio, sun, moon, rising. So there's that, right? But then we have the wings on the bat, the wings on this bat, and then the wings on the star. So there's also this quality about it that like, either the person is a very free person, sorry, or like very free spirited, somebody that likes to be like, doesn't have a necessary trajectory. Maybe they're just like people that like to just do shit and like go out, or like say yes to things, or like they're kind of spontaneous or adventurous or something like that. You know, they could be somebody that travels a lot. It could also be that they, when you're with them, you feel like more free. You know, you go more places. You feel like this like air, you know, of just being able to go here and there, or wanting to go from here to there with the person, kind of thing. But like there's something about the wings and the freedom, because there's so many wings in here, so there's something about like feeling free when you're with this person, or this person being a very free spirited person, or somebody who's kind of spontaneous, or something like that. Then we have the spider, and the spider is similar to the like darkness energy. And again, it doesn't seem negative to me. It seems just like part of their personality. But the spider also felt like there's something like, and I feel like the things I'm saying may sound negative to some people, especially if you're like already kind of jaded, right? We have the get fucked card. But there's something like playful about this person. There's something like a little bit trickster about them. Like it reminds me of Anansi, you know what I mean? But it's like they're able to kind of like get out of situations. And I don't mean like bad, but it's like they're kind of lucky. They're able to get out of situations. They're able to like move in and out of rooms. There's something like fun about them, but also a little bit like dangerous is not the right word, but something like like I don't know what the right word would be, but you like that. Like it's fun for some people. Like, and this is not everybody. Like all the things I'm naming are not one person, of course, but like these are some of the qualities, the things that come up, right? Um, it also feels like in terms of dating in general, the next person you meet, because we have all these wings and the spider, the next person that you meet or you may want to start dating within your network, right? So like asking your friends or asking your family or asking people, coworkers or whatever, or being in spaces where you're networking with other people, which then could allow you to find dates or have conversations with people that may be potential partners or suitors or whatever like that. Earlier when I was listening to the news this morning, they were actually talking about dating over 35 and like the places men go to date or some shit like that. And one of the places that they talked about was conferences. So like business conferences, networking conferences are good places to find people to date, apparently. So like, but that's kind of the energy that I get with the spider and the wings too, in terms of places to be or to go to find people that are, like-minded, or people that might be good partners. It definitely for this pile looks like going out in your network, going out of, your current like radius, spreading yourself out to find somebody would definitely be a beneficial way to go or to get into it. Okay, we have the bull. So there's this energy about them that may be a little bit more forthright or more forward, or you like somebody that like kind of takes control, or they may be somebody that's a little bit more aggressive. It also may be somebody sun moon rising that's a Taurus. um, so if you're interested in that, that could be something to look out for as well. um, we have the key here, and the key and the infinity sign and the star, when I first saw them, to me seemed like somebody who has like upward mobility, or somebody who is like doing something. You feel like they're doing something in life, or you feel like they've like unlocked something at their age, or like you feel like they've kind of established themselves in some way. But there's something about them that like it feels like you admire, you or you feel like is successful. And that's like the type of person that you're looking for, or you want to be with. The infinity sign feels like there's people that want to be with somebody where it's almost like you meld with the person, like there's no beginning or ending to you two, you know what I mean? And like that's kind of the type of relationship that you're looking for, you want to be with. And again, that's like a very specific person, that's not going to be everybody, so again, consider the source. Going back to the cards we had, pay attention to people, listen to your intuition, and don't force anything. Okay. The key also says to me that, again, like the star and the ace of wands says, that this is something that you're not only open to, but something that you could like unlock, something that you could have soon, something that you could, open the door to and walk through. Okay. And then the last charm we have is the mushroom, because the love card to me just is what we're talking about. And sometimes when I do readings, the first card they give me, or the first charm, or whatever it is, will be, just validating this is what we're talking about. But so the mushroom to me says that like you like a quirky person or you like a quirky relationship, you know? So like again with the rebel card, don't box yourself in. Don't um, look at people based on what other people might think, especially if you like these qualities about them. Okay. The mushroom also gives, like I said, somebody that's quirky, somebody you can have fun with, but also somebody who's like different and maybe cut from like a different cloth, or somebody that is like more open or on a different like frequency than you are, other people around you might be, or other people you've dated might have been. So that's kind of the energy that I get with the mushroom. But yeah, this is what is coming up with the charms. Okay, y'all let me know if you see anything that I didn't see or I didn't pick up on, or anything that you're getting. Let's end this reading with some words of wisdom. Okay, so let's get some words of wisdom for your final love message. Okay, the healer. You and possibly someone you care about need to be healed from the effects of past traumas before things can be resolved to your liking. And then the card you have on the bottom is the sage. Look at your situation with the mature, experienced viewpoint of a wise person. Examine assumptions about the aging process and mastery. And of course, we're thinking about this in terms of love and relationships. So, yeah, y'all, that is your reading. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know what you're feeling. Let me know what resonates, what makes sense. Please comment. I love to hear. Thank y'all so much for reading with me. I appreciate you so much. If you'd like your own reading, book with me at wildheartbotanica.com. If you aren't already subscribed to the YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Listen to our monthly collective reading on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on Substack. The podcast is called Tiny Musings. Our part 2 of the February reading will be out in a couple of days. And if you're not already, follow me on TikTok and on Instagram at Tiny Divinations. I am so appreciative that you are here. Thank you again for reading with me. I hope this message resonates for you. If you have another pile, I will see you there. If not, I will see you in our next reading. Welcome in group 2. Let's get into your reading. So we're going to start the reading off by pulling cards for how you feel about being single and pulling cards about how you feel about dating. So let's pull some mood cards. So we have joy. Open your heart to joy and your life will change forever. And then we have anger. Grr. So we have two very opposite sides of how we're feeling. Sometimes I guess we feel really good. We feel really comfortable. We feel really happy with ourselves. We feel really happy with our world and what's going on and like what we've built and you know the things that you get to do because you don't have somebody, or the ways in which you're not aggravated because you don't have somebody. Like it feels comfortable and familiar, you know. And then we have anger, and it feels like the opposite side of that is not like similar to pile 1 where they had the lonely and like why am I single, or like why don't I have anybody. It feels like how come this is this, and how come I don't have anybody, and how come I'm not in love, or how come it's been so long, and how come I can, you know what I mean? Like it's like that. It's like a what the fuck, like, you know what I mean? Like it feels like that. Or the other side of that is that when you think about it, you get angry because you think about the all of the fucked up shit that you think about when you think of relationships, or when you think of dating, or for some people specifically when you think of, you know, men. It's like this like rage that comes up in you, like, and it's very specific. So let's get into these questions with this card. Okay, what is causing you to feel angry? So when you think of being single, right? What causes you to feel angry? Is it the fact that you are single? Is it the fact of the dating pool? Is it the situations that you've been in before that have brought you here? Like, what exactly causes you to feel anger? Okay. How is your anger affecting you and those around you? What could you do differently? So that to me would then lead into our next cards. But how is anger affecting you in terms of love or affecting you in terms of dating or wanting to date, right? What could you to do differently? Are there other possible explanations for your anger? Okay. And that to me would be outside of what other people might have done. Affirmation. I'm aware of the anger inside me, and I know that this time will pass. I detach from anger in a positive way. Okay. So these are just the two sides of how I feel like we feel about being single. Sometimes we're really, really enjoying it. We feel really good about it. Sometimes it really makes us upset, and like filled with rage for different reasons, which we kind of, are going to sit with. You got some homework. So let's pull some cards for how you feel about dating. Anything else? Doesn't feel like it. Okay. So we have I'm important, valued, on guard, wary, aware of the present moment, mindful. Okay. So how you feel about dating? Overall, I feel like you feel good about it because you know what you want. You know what you would want going into it. You know what you expect. You know like who you are very much, you know. You are very mindful of other people and like what you want somebody else to bring or what you have expectations of them about, you know. I feel like you're um like you have a keen eye in terms of reading people, and so even better now than you used to. And so going into situations, I feel like you feel like, you'd be able to suss out some shit, or you'd be able to like go into it and lay down the law in a sense, like let somebody know off the bat what you're down with, what you're not down with, and stick to that. Like it feels like these two cards very much feel like this. Then we have this wary card on in the middle, right? So it's like overall we feel good, and then there's a little bit of hesitation. You know what I mean? And that hesitation comes a little bit, I think, from this anger that we have and the things that we have causing that anger, and how that may reflect on how we look at dating, or how we look at other people, or what we may project onto other people based on what we've gone through, or in what we've gone through, and in some cases like what they say. So for example, if you've I don't know, if you got cheated on by somebody one time when they went on vacation or some shit like that. If you're on a date with somebody and they're like, oh yeah, I traveled last year like 12 times, you might be like, so what, you was just cheating and shit? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like that. So let's get into the questions on the back of the on guard card. So, wary. What has happened in the past to make you wary? And I feel like people say so many things. They're like, girl, so much shit. Like, it's like, listen, yes, and let's lay it all out. Like, for real, lay it out. What are the things that have happened? How does being wary help you? Based on the things that have happened to you, how does being wary help you? What will it take for you to trust again? Affirmation. I learn from experience to make all excuse me, I learn from experience to make the right choices for myself. I trust my intuition to guide me. All will be well. Okay. So I really would love if y'all could sit with those questions and answer those questions. Because besides that, it feels like in terms of dating, you feel really good about it. You feel like you could do it. You feel like you could find somebody that could actually, value you the way that you know that you should be, and really be on the same wave as you. But you have to work through some of these issues that you feel about other people. It's like you feel good about yourself in terms of like what that would look like, but not so good about the other people. So let's get some charms, to get a little bit more about what you should be looking for, or what kind of situations you may find someone. Actually, I'm going to move into the clarity deck and ask a few questions. Let's see. I want to see a few things that may be blocking you, because we had the wary. I just want to get a little bit more into that. So we have fun, metamorphosis. You've changed. How? What needs to happen so you can accept those changes and thereby bring movement into this area of your life? Storyteller. What story do you tell yourself about this area of your life? Where does the story originate? And what meaning do you make of this? And then risks. All right. So digging into the wary card, right? Again, it feels like there's this, like the fun feels like you're afraid a little bit to have fun. You're afraid to take risks. You're afraid of getting hurt. Like that's the basis of all of this shit. You're afraid of getting hurt. You're afraid of letting go too much. You're afraid of um like giving. There's something about like giving in. You know what I mean? It feels like you feel like when you give in, you give up too much, or it could mean that you stop paying attention to shit, or that like something could happen that you're not seeing or something. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the energy of what these are given, and it's like you deserve to have fun. Life is about taking risks. Everything you do every day, in a sense, is a risk. Even if it's the same shit that you do every day, something can happen that's completely out of your control, but why not go into situations where you actually could have a good time, where the risk could be beneficial, where shit could pay off for you, like why not trust yourself enough to do that? And then into the trust yourself, we have metamorphosis. You've changed. Okay, how have you changed? Going back to the anger card we had, right? What causes you to feel anger? Think of those situations, and how many of those situations you would never be in the iteration of the person you are right now. Like really think about that, because you've changed, right? Then think about how you've changed and what ways that you've changed that would not allow you to be in those situations. Okay. And then within that, think about how those things can help you accept the changes and thereby bring movement into your dating life, or into your thinking about dating or love or relationships. Because again, you've changed. Okay. And really sitting with yourself and figuring out how you have, or the ways in which that is tangible to you in your next situation, can really help you move and bring, understanding and healing, so that you can start to have momentum and change in this area of your life. Okay. Within that, we have storyteller. What story do you tell yourself about this area of your life? Where does this story originate, and what meaning do you make of this? Okay, so there may be a couple of stories. There may be one main story. It may be related to the relationships that you've had. It may be related to the relationships that you've seen play out in your family or around you, or it may play out in constructs that you've been told, or that have been ingrained in you. Okay, and all of these things play into how you see dating, how you see love, how you see yourself. and it needs to be looked at, especially from the lens of who you are now. Okay. Because this person who's on guard and the things that they're wary about, this person doesn't necessarily need to be wary of these same things from that same place. Okay. All right. So that is what I'm getting from that. Now let's pull some charms to see um who you might be wanting to date, where you might find them, things like that. So I apologize. Y'all know the charms are loud. Oh, got the top popping and everything, baby. Okay. So I'm shuffling. I'm not looking. Okay. Okay, so we have the Magical Girl pin. We have some fangs. We have a 3. We have a ducky. Sorry. We have an elephant. We have the Gemini sign. We have an angel or a fairy. We have the Wheel of Fortune. We have a waning moon. And then we have a 2. Okay, so getting the who they could be out the way to me, because that's the most obvious thing that hopped out to me, right? So they could be somebody who's born in March. They could be somebody who's born in February. They could be Gemini, Sun, Moon, Rising. You could meet them around March or February, or like the third or the second day or weeks in a month, right? It feels like you could meet them also in the springtime or like closer to summer, because we have Gemini. So it'd be like end of spring, summer vibes, around that kind of energy, if this isn't about their actual sign. It could also be somebody that you meet like around the water. So that's like lake, pool, ocean, um, you know, uh, I don't know, other water places type energy. You know what I mean? My my brain also said watering hole, which is like such an old thing. That was spirit, clearly. So you may meet them at a bar or something like that. Again, because of the water aspect of this, it feels like it might be when it's warmer. You might have more dating luck or success, or be able to find somebody you really like towards the warmer months, depending on where you live. Unless you live somewhere that's warm, then like it would be going, to the places with the water, but it still could mean um the warmer months for some people. Okay, especially because the elephant also then made me think of Africa. Africa made me think of just like warm climate. So again, it just lends that energy to me. The elephant made me think of, when I first saw it though, their energy, right? So there's something very playful about this person's energy. They could be very funny. They could be kind of like a clown or like a comedian. They could be somebody that has like a very specific artistic skill. Because it made me think of like but like acrobats, or like people that work in a circus. So not like literally somebody that works in a circus, although they very much could. But like somebody who has like a very niche skill, or something that they do that's like very unique. You know what I mean? Either for work, or like a skill or a hobby that they have. But it feels like something that they showcase to other people. So even if they do it as something on the side, it's still like either artwork that they sell, or that they show, or like music that they make, or like something like that. Okay. Then we have the moon and the teeth, and it was just giving like emotional, not like an emotional person, but somebody who's like deep. They have depth to them, like they sink their teeth into things. You know what I mean? They may know a lot about a lot of things, or they may know things that very in depth, or they may have like very deep philosophical conversations, or be able to like really unpack a lot of your shit, or like their shit, or they have like a very strong emotional understanding, or like uh I don't know, I keep wanting to say depth, like, but they have a depth to them. Like they have like they're very emotionally in tuned, it feels like. It may be somebody like that. It may also be somebody, like I said, who has understandings of how you're feeling. So it could be somebody who has like a therapy or a therapist type of like nature, or it could be somebody who is a therapist. It could be somebody who just goes to therapy, who's gone to a lot of therapy and done the work on themselves to heal themselves, right? The moon is also giving like healing energy. So it could be somebody who is in their healing journey, or somebody who's done a lot of healing on themselves, and that like reflects in a really positive way to you, or it's something that like you're into. It could also be that you find somebody at like a retreat space, or a space where it has something to do with healing or spirituality. um it's giving more of that than like at night. I mean, it could be at night. The moon could definitely be, you find you meet people at night, but like if for me, it's feeling more like healing based. You know what I mean? You meet somebody at like a health food store, or you like have conversations based around healing and doing works and things like that. And like that's part of what deepens your connection with the person, or that's part of what helps you find people, is like having these conversations around these things that deal with healing, that then help you weed out people. You know what I mean? Like that's part of what I get with that too. The magical girl pin makes me feel just like either that when you'll know when you're with this person, it just feels very like magical. You lose track of time. You are with them for like hours and hours, or you could talk for hours and hours, or you're able to do things or want to do things that you don't normally do, or things like that, right? And it could be that the person's aura is, you know what I mean, like they're that they just exude, like this intoxicating energy, or like this magical energy. You want to be around them, you want to talk to them, you want to tell other people about them. You know what I mean? Like that's the energy that I get from the magical girl pin. And then with the wheel of fortune, it feels like it feels like they may have either had a lot of ups and downs within their own life, or that the situation may not be like all, fantasy, honeymoon phase when you first meet. It may be like things are good, but then you have a date and it's kind of awkward, but then the next time you talk, it's like it may be like a little bit of ebb and flow, or it may be something like where things kind of go wrong, so it's like there's parts of it that are good, but then there's parts of it that are off, you know what I mean? Or that, like, you go to kiss and you bump heads or some shit like that, you know what I mean? Like where it's just like a little bit awkward, or a little bit, like you're kind of getting your footing with each other, But again, we have this fairy, like, so it's like we have on the corners these two very magical, it's a fairy or angel or something. So it feels like it also would be a situation where it feels just very like divinely guided, or like I said, very intoxicating or magical. You know what I mean? There's that magical quality about the person or the situation. And all of these things, again, are omens and information, especially because you are a little on guard, so that when you are in these situations, or when you are meeting these people, you can have like a little bit of like almost like a checklist in your head to remember what you're looking for, or what they could be, in terms of what could be matching, but not forcing it, just like keeping your eye open, being mindful of these things. So this is what I'm getting from the charms for y'all. Let's move into some words of wisdom to end the reading. All right, so let's get some words of wisdom to end your love message. Okay, we have the gardener. Weed out negativity and toxic thoughts to clear the way for the new growth that is sure to come if you add habits that heal to your life. And then on the bottom, you have the visionary. Developing habits and actions to help you turn your visions into reality will guide you on your path to success and happiness, to ultimate success and happiness. Okay, so that is what we have for your words of wisdom. And this was your reading group 2. So thank you so much for reading with me. Please let me know how this reading resonates for you, how this message resonates, what you think about it, how you're feeling. If you saw anything that I didn't see, if it makes sense, definitely come back if and when you find these people. Okay, I would love to know. Give me updates. Okay. If you'd like your own personal reading, book with me at wildheartbotanica.com. If you aren't already subscribe to the YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go listen to our February Tiny Collective reading. Part 1 is out right now. Part 2 will be out in a couple of days. And subscribe to Tiny Musings with Tea, the podcast. And follow me on TikTok and on Instagram at Tiny Divinations. If you have another pile, I will see you there. If not, thank you so much again. I appreciate y'all so much. I will see you in our next reading. Welcome in group 3. Let's get into your reading. So, we're going to start with pulling cards for how you feel about being single, and then we'll pull some cards about how you feel about dating and love. Okay. 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 So we have gratitude. I've got so much to be thankful for. Then disappointed. I expected more, disappointed. And then anxious, on edge, what's happening. So, in terms of how you feel about being single, right? We have a positive card, and then we have two less positive cards, right? So, even though there's some negative feelings about being single, there's still a positive feeling. Like you still feel grateful for what you have and where you are. You still recognize that you could be in a shitty situation, or you could be in a situation that you don't want to be in, or you could be um dealing with things that you see other people dealing with that are fucked up or that you wouldn't want to deal with, you know what I mean? And so there is a recognition of like you do have it good even though you are by yourself. Like things that you have, you're comfortable, you know what I mean? It feels like um very routine. It feels like you know what your days are going to be like, or what you like, or and you add comforts to your life, and so you take care of yourself. And so like even though you are single and there are these feelings we have about it, you do still have a knowing and gratitude for what you have and where you are. Okay, so then let's get into these cards, right? So disappointed and anxious. So starting with the disappointed, I feel like part of the disappointment comes from past situations. I feel like part of it comes from feeling like you should be somewhere else in life, or you should be somewhere else in a situation. Like I should be married by now, or I should be in a serious relationship, or I should be in XYZ place. I should be lived with this person. I should have kids. I should, wherever you feel like you should be, for some people is part of the disappointment that you feel, right? For other people, some of the disappointment that you feel, and it could be end or, right? Some of the disappointment you feel is with past situations and feeling like, I wish it had worked out with this person, or I wish there was something more to show from that situation or that relationship that I had, and that's part of where the disappointment comes in. And then for other people, it's just disappointment for where you are now and that you don't have a partner, or the situation, like I said, with the other situations in terms of what it looks like that you want, disappointed with not feeling like you have what you feel like you should, And so I feel like that's where some of the disappointment comes up. Let's get into the questions. Ask yourself, why are you feeling let down? Are your expectations realistic? I feel like for some people, this is like key. Okay. What can you do to make sure you no longer let events or the behavior of others affect you? And again, all of this is in terms of, dating, love, being single, relationships, things like that. Okay. Affirmation. I let go of expectations and accept all that comes my way with a smile. And I feel like that brings us back to that gratitude. Okay. So then we have the anxious card. And I feel like again, the anxiety comes from partially from the disappointment that you feel for all of the reasons I stated before, and partially because it's like what's happening, what's going to happen. Um, is Am I going to be by myself? Am I not going to find the right person? Am I going to have to settle? Am I going to, like there's all of these thoughts that start coming into your head. It feels like when you think about being single or dating or love or and any of these kind of topics related, that your brain kind of just gets very like clouded, and you starts moving and going, and there's like a lot of shit happening in your brain, like a lot of thoughts at one time, and like a lot of things start happening. It gets real like overwhelming, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's part of where the anxiety comes in for that. And I feel like also, like I said, the anxiousness comes in and just wondering what's going to happen or what's going to be or what you're going to find, if you're going to find something, if you're going to be able to have success in dating, if it's going to be a situation where you're just constantly being disappointed, or you know what I mean, like if these things kind of play us in a circle in a sense. So that's what I'm getting in terms of what you feel right now about being single. Okay. Again, similar to all the other groups that we read, because you guys are the last group, it's given like twofold. It's like I feel like good about it, but I also feel a way about it, so it's interesting. Let's pull cards about what you feel about dating and relationships. So in terms of dating and relationships, let's see how you're feeling. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. So we have regret, if only. Fear, something bad might happen. Sorry, I know what I did was wrong and I'm sorry. Okay. So the regret and the sorry cards kind of go together for me. So there's some people that in a situation in the past, may have moved in ways that don't reflect how they want to move now. Okay. And you're kind of letting that linger on you, or beating yourself up about it, or always putting it in perspective when you think of dating or relationships or love, and it weighs heavily on you. And this could be either like this doesn't have to be you did somebody wrong. It could be like you like accepting things that you shouldn't have accepted for as long as you did, and then you feeling like um I shouldn't have done that. I wasted time, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like that kind of energy. And then similar to the regret, there are people who regret things that they did, things that other people did, ways in which, like I said, you stayed, or you didn't say something, or you should have done something. And that plays into the projections of how you look at dating, how you look at love, how you look at relationships. And it weighs really, really heavily on you. And then it bleeds into you having these heavy fears about it, right? Like something bad can happen in terms of them doing something to you, but just in general, like you have all of these things that weigh on you from before. And so you start to think of all of these scenarios because, like I said, your brain starts to fill up with these thoughts, like you have all these thoughts. And so your thoughts go to like any kind of worst case scenario. You know what I mean? You doing something, the other person doing something. Like you could make yourself think, oh, what if I fall in love with the person and they die? Like, you know what I mean? Like sometimes your brain can go to like, you know what I mean? Like for some people in this pile, and like that is part of what happens. It's like you kind of just feed yourself with these things, you know what I mean? For some people, the regret in this group specifically has to do with a very specific relationship and a very specific ex, and you wanting to kind of get back with this person. And in some cases it may not be a thing, right? Because like my first mind's eye would be to say, oh well, call them or see what can happen or if it can be. But in some cases, that this is not a thing for whatever reason, it's not a thing anymore. And so, within that, for these people, there's a level of healing and mourning that you have to go through before you can actually get to a place of wanting to date. Okay, of this specific situation. For other people, it's a matter of healing and mourning the past situations, letting go of the past traumas, trusting yourself. Like, there's a lot more work that needs to be done to really get yourself to a space of being able to, want to be in a relationship and wanting to date. Even if there's a part of you that feels that way, it feels like there's a lot more work that needs to be done before you actually do it. Okay. So I want to pull some cards to get into some of the work that we can do to get us more into a space of being able to find the love that we want and deserve. Oh, I didn't shuffle, y'all. Okay. The sidekick. Who is waiting to help you here? What must shift in order to receive this help? Inner child. If little person you could be here now, how would they feel about this situation? What would they tell you to do? The fun card that came out in the last pile. Hope. What big dreams do you have for yourself? And what ways do you stop yourself from dreaming before you can even start? And what are you trying to protect by doing so? Mm-hmm. See if there's anything else. Sexuality. Okay. So, in terms of the things we need to move through to get us to a place of love, number one, it feels like there are people that we could be talking to more and utilizing more um, within our group now, and or there are like resources for you, like a therapist that you could talk to that could help you kind of talk these things out. They could help show you a different perspective, because I feel like that's part of talking things out for you is not just about release, which is partially what it's about, but it's also about getting other perspectives, having other people um show you how to see things from a different way or a different side, or with different eyes, you know what I mean? Because other people have different life experiences, they have different information, they have, just differing perspectives from being outside of a situation that can help you see yourself and the way you love or the way you've been loved in different ways, right? And I feel like that would be really helpful to you to help break down some of these things, or to help you move through some of these things that you need to move through, right? Because part of what comes up, like, what big dreams do you have for yourself? In what ways do you stop yourself, right? I feel like being able to talk this out, like if you specifically did even just this card and talked it out with somebody else, they would be able to help you see certain aspects of things that you may not realize that you dream for yourself that you do, or certain aspects of things that you certain ways that you stop yourself from being able to dream or acting out these dreams that you may not recognize, but that they may see because they're really close to you, they know you well, and or they have the tools or the knowledge or the intuition or the intelligence to be able to see it from a different side and be able to see it in a way that you can't because you're in it, right? Then you have the inner child card. If a little, excuse me, if little person you could be here now, how would they feel about the situation, right? So if little person you could be here now and see how anxious or how fearful or how um sorry or regretful or how jaded adult you is about dating, about a certain person, about a certain situation, what would they think? What would they say? What could how they feel help explain about how you feel, or how could what they saw come to explain about how you got into these situations that we got into over here, and how working through that and working with them and healing us and them can help us move from these situations that are like this. You know what I mean? I feel like working with our inner child is really important, especially in situations that deal with love, because there are a lot of things that are imprinted on us that we don't realize as children until we look back from adult eyes, or certain situations that we were in that we don't recognize were catalysts for certain things, or really shape certain things that we think or we feel or that we do, that we don't recognize until we go back and look at it from adult eyes. And sometimes we don't actually have the luxury to look back. So because this is really bringing you to that, I think it's really important for you to have these moments where you sit through these things, right? And especially through the eyes of adult you and little person you. Okay. And then we have fun and sexuality. So I think that really moving through, what does fun even look like for you right now? What would fun look like with somebody else? What would fun look like in partnership? What would a fun relationship look like, or a fun marriage look like? What would a fun life look like? Can you imagine that, right? Do you have big dreams for yourself? Can you envision this? Or do you stop yourself from seeing it? Do you say, oh no, that can't happen because of this, or that wouldn't look like this because of blah blah blah? You know what I mean? Same thing with your sexuality. In what ways are you not sitting with what you want or feel in terms of your sexual preferences, or in terms of your sexual nature? How has that changed? How can somebody help open you up or help you feel more comfortable? What would a partner look like that would help you be more comfortable with your sexuality, or would help you explore your sexuality more? Like, moving through this conversation with yourself, I feel like helps you be able to move more through the healing and out of the space of the feelings that we were feeling with these cards, right? More into the space of the gratitude, and like a hopeful space, where we have the hope card, and like I said, being able to talk this out with people and bounce this off of people, or getting other people's perspectives and thoughts, is really, really helpful when it comes to this work that you're doing or you're going to do. Okay. So that is what I'm getting from that. Let's end your reading with some words of wisdom. So that's what I'm getting from that. Let's pull some charms and see a little bit more about um, who you should be looking for, or maybe where you should be looking. Okay, so we're going to pull some charms. I apologize, y'all. It's a little loud. Okay, I'm going to shuffle a little bit. I am not looking. Okay. Okay, so we have a 2, a hedgehog, an alien, a hope charm, a snow globe, or like a disco ball, kind of snow globe with stars in it. You have a lotus flower, a turtle, you have a coin, and a snake or a worm. I like to think of him as a worm, but he could be a snake too, if you want, or if you think he's a snake. So in terms of the person that you could date, the first thing that my eye was drawn to was the hedgehog. So I thought to myself, with the hedgehog, it could be somebody that's like scruffy, like whether that is in their appearance. So it could be somebody that like is a little bit more like grungy, or somebody that has like a longer beard or longer hair, or somebody that like um works a lot, so like their hands are really like you know what do you call that, like tough, or rough, or somebody whose hair is like all over the place, or you know what I mean, like it just gave like a more like grungy kind of appearance to me, was the first thing I thought of. It also could be somebody in personality who's like a little bit more gruff, or like grumpy, or like I don't know why I said gruff. It's a just old word, but like somebody who's a little bit more rough around the edges, somebody who's a little bit more like they may be like sharp or short when they speak, or other people may think that they're mean, but you can find the softer side of them, like after you may meet them and they may come off one way, but then you see that actually underneath that there's something else. So like that's part of what I get with the hedgehog energy. We have the two, so it may be somebody that you meet in February around the second of a month, around the second week of a month. They may be the second child. They may have two first names. I don't know why that just came into my head. Like their name may be like Tyler John or some shit like that. You know what I mean? Or like their first name is like hyphenated, so they have like two first names in that sense, like literal two first names. You know what I mean? Or it could be like a first name and then their last name is a first name kind of thing. I don't know. That just came up in my head. So that could also be part of what comes up. They could be um, a Taurus because it's two. It could be like the second zodiac. So like that's part of what comes up. Like I said, they could be the second born. So that could also be part of it. You have the alien, and the alien reminds me of the hedgehog. It's like somebody who's just a little bit, somebody who's different. I was gonna say a little bit different, but it seems like a lot different, a little or a lot different. Somebody who beats to their own drum, somebody who has their own style or has their own way, or like kind of has their own crowd. Somebody who may be different from the people that you've dated previously to this person. So that's part of what may come up with that. You have the hope pendant, and then you have the lotus charm. And both of those make me think that they're either a really positive person, they have a positive air, they have like a positive energy, they cause you to be more positive, they bring more um, like glass half full kind of energy. They can have you look at a situation from a more positive perspective, or they have like a spiritual perspective or a spiritual outlook in some sense that can help you um, either start to unfold certain things in your life or see things in a different way, or be able to like add certain perspectives or thoughts to your own life or certain practices to your own life, which then makes you, like see your own spiritual flourishment, or helps you on your own spiritual journey. Like I feel like that kind of energy. It also may be somebody that's a little bit of a loner, because we have the turtle, the hedgehog, and the alien, as well as the worm, depending on how you think about him. So it could be somebody that's more of a loner, somebody that likes to be like either more in the house, or more to themselves, or likes to do more of the things that they like to do, or they like to just be with like you, and kind of be in your own bubble or in your own shell or in your own orbit kind of thing. You have the charm, the coin charm, which I sometimes call this the Remick coin. So if they could be somebody who's Irish, this is actually a Roman coin. So they could be somebody who's Italian. They could be somebody who's in finance. They could be banking. They could be somebody that has a lot of money. They could be somebody who is dealing in like jewels and gold or stocks or something to do with wealth and money or moving money. That could be like accounting, anything to do with like finance or anything like that. Or like I said, that could be somebody who has money, who is good with money, who knows how to save money, who knows how to grow money, something like that. Could also be part of the energy. It could be somebody who is like multilingual, or somebody who is well traveled, somebody who lives internationally, even if they don't, if they're not like Irish or Italian, they could be somebody who's lived there, who's traveled there, who has an interest in living there, traveling there, who knows Italian, who knows how to speak Gaelic. Do people still speak Gaelic? Is that what you call it? I don't know. Anyway, ignore me. But that is part of what comes up with this. Um, the globe with the stars in it, it just feels like when I saw this in one of the other piles, it just felt like um kind of a spotlight on the situation. So to me, it this feels like part of how you could find the person or how you see the person. It almost feels like when you see them, you know how like in movies or like TV shows, sometimes it's almost like everything stops and there's like a spotlight on the person when they see that person or the person catches their eye. I feel like that may be part of what happens, or there's like an instant spark between you and this person, or when you are in, on a date, or when you're in proximity to this person, you feel a real connection, and a lot of things line up that you have in common, or things that or people that or things that you like to do, or something like that. There could also be like a sparkly energy to the person, like every time you're with them or around them, it just feels like you light up, or they light up. Like that could also be part of the energy that you feel, or how you know, like, you know, who the person kind of is as you go along this dating journey. And then you have the worm, and like I said with the worm already, with the being in your kind of own hole, or they're your own bubble, or them being somebody who may just like time to themselves, or like being a homebody or staying in, is part of what I thought with the worm. But I also thought with the worm was like a bookworm, like somebody who's learned, you know, somebody who reads books, somebody who's you know, either has a lot of degrees, or somebody who self studies, somebody who likes to learn a lot of things, somebody who is like very technical and works with their hands, but like somebody who likes knowledge, likes learning, likes words, maybe likes books, likes to study, likes to get a little nerdy with it, you know, maybe some of the energy. So yeah, that's what I'm getting in terms of the person and the charms. And um, I think we got a little bit of where you could maybe go for that, but it was more so to me, these charms kind of describe more about the person. So let's finish your reading with some words of wisdom. Okay, so getting y'all some words of wisdom. Oh, okay. A lot happening. So we'll take this and we'll take this. Let's see. The Guardian. Take time to become aware of and prepared for all contingencies by making your home base secure so you feel safe and protected. Okay. And for me, that speaks to the cards that we talked about here, and some of those healing cards, right? When you are feeling healed and more secure in yourself and more secure in your idea of love and dating, then you'll feel more safe and protected to go and explore and put yourself out there. Okay. And then we have the higher self card. Stop longing, still your mind, and allow your higher self to use its infinite resources to comfort and guide you to the fulfillment of your desires. And I feel like that has a lot to do with a lot of those thoughts that have been going on, or those thoughts that can consume you, right? And sometimes you just need to be still, like let go and let God, as they say, you know. So it's either like allowing God or your higher self or the universe or your spiritual team or whoever you think of to kind of come in and take over, so that your thoughts, your fears, your anxieties don't take over, right? So that you can kind of be comforted and guided to what you need to know and what you need to feel and see, so that you can, you know, move in right mindedness when it comes to dating and love and the healing that you need to do. Okay. So this is what I got for y'all, group 3. This is your words of wisdom. This is your reading. I hope it makes a lot of sense to you. Thank y'all so much for reading with me. I really, really, really appreciate it, y'all coming in. I appreciate doing these readings with y'all. I really like doing these readings with y'all today. I really liked the messages that we got for all the piles. They were all kind of different, but they were really, really good. If you'd like your own reading, book with me at wildheartbotanica.com. If you're not already subscribed to the YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube. Listen to our tiny monthly reading for February. Part 1 is out now. Part 2 is coming in the next couple of days. The podcast is called Tiny Musings with Tea, so you can subscribe to that and listen to our monthly collective on Substack, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Tiny Divinations. So again, thank y'all so much for reading with me. I appreciate you so much. Let me know what y'all think. Let me know what resonates with you. Come back when you find somebody or when you start dating. Update me. Let me know. Okay. And if you have another pile, I will see you there. If not, I will see you in our next reading.